Good afternoon, AYs. Good afternoon, AYs.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. I too would like to add my share of welcome to everybody for being here this afternoon. I see we have a full house. That says a lot about our interest in the youth and their development. And note, I stress in the interest in the youth and their development and not in competition. I want to welcome Basseterre to our humble abode here in Cayon. Pastor White, thank you for coming home. Don't look so stiff, relax, you're home. And we want to welcome everybody else. This afternoon we're going to have a good time. We're already having a good time. Now we're here to have a friendly debate. Yes, very friendly debate between Cayon and Basseterre. Okay, I have still not opened my folder as yet as the moderator. I don't know why they call me moderator. I'm the police for this afternoon. Moderator is just a nice term. Okay, wait 1 second, trying to find the mood here. Sister Delhi, I'm not seeing the mood. Okay, I have here in my old paper, it is a person's genetic makeup and not their environment which determines their personality or character. Which one are we using this afternoon? Character, thank you. Let me read that again. It is a person's genetic makeup and not their environment which determines their personality and their character. Okay, this afternoon we're moving, that's our main feature, and we're moving right into the business of this afternoon. Our judges for this afternoon are no strangers to us. They are the astute Pastor Carl Hastings. Pastor Hastings, could you please take your position as judge? I will welcome him. Pastor Carl Hastings is one of our judges this afternoon. The ever so qualified Leroy Pemberton Jr. Leroy Pemberton Jr. He is no stranger to this forum. Quite a bit of intellectuals we have on the panel this afternoon. We have Mr. Terence Crosman. Terence Crosman. And finally, The Rose Among the Thorns by Louise Karen Williams. Karen Williams. Let's put a hand together for our judges who have their work cut out for them this afternoon, I am sure. Our timekeeper for this afternoon, who will be seated beside me, is Junior Simon. Junior Simon. I don't bite, come on. Well, not every day, not on Sabbath. Okay, our debaters, the stars of this afternoon's gathering, I will be introducing the first speakers from each team and then the second speakers from each team. And I would like for you to welcome them as they take their positions. Okay, from the Basseterre Seventh-day Adventist Church, we have, actually let me start with the proposers. From the Cayon Seventh-day Adventist Church, they are proposing the topic. We have Kenyatte Tyson. And joining him we have Shavana Samasu. And that is the Cayon team, and the Basseterre team comprises Brensil Blake, and Lashera Evans. Ladies and gentlemen, there you had it. The teams representing Cayon and Basseterre in this afternoon's debate, the mood, it is a person's genetic makeup and not their environment which determines their character. And now we pause for special music.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
The Word of God tells us in Isaiah that our names are engraved on the palms of God's hands, and our walls are ever before Him. So even though our righteousness is but filthy rags, God still cares about us. God is still concerned about what we go through. He still loves us with an everlasting love, and Scripture also promises us that He will be with us always, even to the very end of the age. Amen?
Who am I that the Lord of all the earth will care to know my name, will care to feel my hurt? Who am I that the bright and morning star will choose to light the way from my ever-wandering heart? Not because of who I am, but because of what you've done. Not because of what I've done, but because of who you are. I am a flower quickly fading, here today and gone tomorrow, a wave tossed in the ocean, a vapor in the wind. Still you hear me when I'm calling, Lord, you catch me when I'm falling, and you told me who I am. I am yours. Who am I that the Lord of all the earth will care to know my name, will care to feel my hurt? Who am I that the bright and morning star will choose to light the way for my ever-wandering heart? Who am I that the Lord who sees my sin will look on me in love and watch me rise again? Who am I that the voice that calms the sea would call out to the rain and calm the storm in me? Not because of who I am, but because of what you've done. Not because of what I've done, but because of who you are. I am a flower quickly fading, here today and gone tomorrow, a wave tossed in the ocean, a vapor in the wind. But still you hear me when I'm calling, Lord, you catch me when I'm falling, and you told me who I am. I'm yours. It's not because of who I am, but because of what you've done. Not because of what I've done, but because of who you are. I am a flower quickly fading, here today and gone tomorrow, a wave tossed ocean, a vapor in the wind, but still you hear me when I'm calling. Lord, you catch me when I'm falling, and you told me who I am. I am a flower quickly fading, here today and gone tomorrow, a wave tossed in the ocean, a vapor in the wind, still you hear me when I'm calling. Lord, you catch me when I'm falling, and you told me who I am. I am yours, Lord, I am yours.
There is a reason that we call out the debaters and then we have special music. So they get some time to get the butterflies settled and the ice melted and all those good things. So Shara, Blake, Kenyatte, and Shavana, I hope you're now ready so that we can move forward with the business of the day. But first, before we do that, before we call the leaders to present their arguments, for want of a better word, I'm going to give you some of the rules that we are governed by. Now, some of the things the judges will be looking for, just so that you are aware of what's going on. The judges will be looking for biblical references as part of the argument, of the discussion, spirit of prophecy statements, that moves to the topic, psychological discussion on the topic, logical development of their points, their analytical skills, the depth of their research, okay, and of course, their time allotment that they keep within their time allotment. So these are some of the things that the judges will be looking for as they judge the debate. Now, some of the rules include the first speaker from each team has a maximum of 10 minutes to present. They have 10 minutes to present. At the end of 8 minutes, the timekeeper will ring the bell to indicate to them that they have used up 8 minutes of their time, and so they have 2 more minutes. That's the first speaker from each team. The second speaker from each team has a maximum of 7 minutes. When they get to 5 minutes, the timekeeper will indicate so that they know they have 2 more minutes left. So that's 10 minutes per leader and 7 minutes per second. Then they have a 5-minute break within which time they prepare for rebuttals. Anybody can present a rebuttal, whether it's the leader or the second. The team gets to decide. 5 minutes preparation for the rebuttal. At that time, you will also prepare your argument for your participation at the end of it all. And they have 5 minutes in which to present their rebuttal. Now, I see here that the speaker will ring the bell at the 4th minute during the rebuttal to let them know that they have to wrap up. Now, during the rebuttal, the timekeeper, that's not what I said? Oh, 3. Oh, okay, 3 minutes. You have the notes down there too? Okay, I'm hearing you and, okay. For the rebuttal, the rules are simple for rebuttal. You are not allowed to add additional and new information into the rebuttal to buttress your argument. You only add material to rebut the other team's points. So you're not allowed to bring in new information into your rebuttal to buttress or to strengthen your argument that you presented before. That's done after you finish 10 minutes, 7 minutes, your argument is finished. Rebuttal time is just to break down the points of the opponents. That's the only time you bring in new information if you want to. You're not allowed to bring in new information to strengthen your argument. That's against the rules. Okay, and 1 point will be deducted for each minute or any part thereof over the allotted time. Mine is strict. So it's also an exercise in discipline, as you can see. Judges, I'm glad I'm not in your shoes. Debaters, we're ready to move. So we are going to call to the podium the speaker, the leader for the proposing team, which is the Cayon team, to present his case on the moot, it is a person's genetic makeup and not their environment which determines their personality or character. Encourage the young man as he comes to the podium.
Testing. Madam Moderator. Madam Moderator, honorable judges, my esteemed opponents, and ladies and gentlemen of the audience, good afternoon. My task today is quite simple. My colleague and I are here to simply re-educate my opponents on a fact that they both know, but somehow over the past couple of days have allowed illogical thoughts to muddy their minds and warp their thinking. It's a person's genetic makeup and not his environment which determines his personality or character. The mood which is being debated has been an ancient discussion that only seeks to skim the surface of the intellect, which is exactly what my opponents will do today. Madam Moderator, ladies and gentlemen, my colleague and I, on the other hand, will present you the facts for your reminder and for my esteemed colleague's education, as there is no doubt that a man's character is a product of his genes and not his environment. I will first establish definitions and parameters for this argument. In this context, our philosophical definition for nature, as defined by Aristotle in the Stanford Encyclopedia, is the extent to which human behavior results from biological factor. Nurture is the degree to which human behavior results from environmental factors, and the word character in the Cambridge English Dictionary is defined as a combination of qualities in a person that makes them different. My team will present our argument to three portals, vis-a-vis the spiritual, the scientific, and the psychological dimensions. Firstly, Madam Moderator, let it be known that Mr. Charles Darwin's nephew, Sir Francis Galton, was the first person to coin the phrase nature versus nurture. And we must be cognizant that Galton, just like his uncle Charles, was a noted atheist. Their intention was to convince the world that Genesis 1 verse 1, which reads, "In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth," and more specifically verse 26, which says, "Then God said, let us make man in our image and after our likeness," are aligned. For my opponents to suggest that nurture determines our character is a support of Darwinism, surmising that God had omitted some aspects of man's perfection at creation, which is man's character, and left it to the environment. Such a notion is not only unbelievable, it is unquestionably an act of heresy. I say without fear of credible contradiction that mankind was created for the glory of God with all the resources, both physical and mental, to be creatures of impeccable character. Yes, Madam Moderator, man's biological makeup is perfect, which has imbued each of us with our true character. Ian Lavazan emphasized on page 47 of her book, Faith in the Valley, and I quote, "Our character is a consequence of our nature and our moral knowledge is innate. God has put that ability of character development in our genes, and He expects us to grow in His likeness." End of quote. Psychologists have confirmed that heredity gives each of us a full complement of potentials and limitations. In other words, our character. The spirit of inspiration was laid on Sister Ellen G. White, and she wrote profusely on the matter of temperance on page 170. Sister White wrote, and I quote, "The reform should begin with the mother before the birth of her children. And if God's instructions were faithfully obeyed, intemperance would not exist." End of quote. Why is she advocating that temperance should begin in the womb? Simple. Habits are transition from parent to child. Madam Moderator, in almost every case when God sent a messenger, He gave his mother specific instructions. Look at page 171 again on temperance. Sister White wrote, and I quote in God's message to every mother, "The carefulness with which the mother should guard her habits of life is taught in the scriptures. When the Lord would raise up Samson as a deliverer for Israel, the angel of Jehovah appeared to the mother with special instructions concerning her habits, and also for the treatment of her child. Behold," he said, "thou shalt conceive and be a son, and now drink no wine nor strong drink, neither eat any unclean thing, for the child shall be a Nazarite to God from the womb to the day of his death." Judges 13:7. If the environment was to determine Samson's character, why did God give instructions to the mother even before conception? Jehovah God in his perfection could not have left a man's character to the environment, or else none of us would be saved. So look around at the environment we live in. God has placed in us the cognitive wiring that triggers a response to physical, spiritual, and emotional stimuli. This tells us that we were made with the built-in mechanisms to control that which is around us. For greater is that which is in us than that which is in the world. As a result, the Supreme Provider did not leave our character development to nurture. He created within our minds functions of reasoning, data processing, retention, and of choice. It was a result of choice that man sinned, and since the fall, man has been in need of a more perfect understanding of the divine that was placed in him at creation. The psalmist David's cry for a clean heart was his plea for the Creator God to transform his genetic makeup, that he may once again discover that innate God-given character, a change which he recognized that had to come from within and not from that which surrounded him. Secondly, Madam Moderator, scientific studies on genetics provide irrefutable data of their direct impact on the formation of character. The fusion of cells causes habits, aptitudes and dispositions that all come together as a component of a person's traits and character. Let's analyze the scientific disposition to prove my point. Illnesses such as cancer, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, heart issues, depression are 4 to 6 times more likely to develop if you are genetically disposed to it. The mystery of the transgenerational disposition is in our genes. If your family has a disease, most likely you can contract it. Recently, popular culture icon Angelina Jolie underwent a double mastectomy after she was aware that she possessed the BRCA1 gene that predisposed her to developing breast cancer, a disease that her mother, grandmother, aunt had all succumbed. A person's deoxyribonucleic acid, that is your DNA, is the self-replicating material present in all living organisms as the main constituent of our chromosomes. It is a carrier of genetic information and is made of 3 types of compounds, which are the phosphate group, a 5-carbon sugar, deoxyribose, and nitrogen bases. The genome group, one of the leading foundations in DNA science, supported the fact that traits of a living thing depend on the complex mixture of interacting components inside the DNA, and will take many additional years of research to dissect and determine fully how this is done. Madam Moderator, I cannot did not say that. It's the biochemists and behavioral scientists, the most learned minds among us, who have reached to this conclusion. Dr. Stuart Radnick, the assistant professor of cell biology, wrote, "Your DNA is the fundamental source of the distinctive characteristics or qualities of man. It is the core of our being. It is what each of us is as an individual. It is our character, the vehicle through which our attitudes, behaviors, reactions, dispositions, and vulnerabilities to diseases have been passed to us." Undoubtedly, Madam Moderator, our character is determined by our genes. Think about it, Madam Moderator. If science has concluded that a man's genes determines his height, skin color, attitude, and predispositions to diseases, don't you think they also determine his character? Yes. Of course. The University of Edinburgh in 2012 published a study on May 16 and issued a statement on BBC website entitled "Your DNA, Your Character," which stated, and I quote, "Genes play a greater role in forming character traits such as self-control, decision-making, or sociability than was previously thought." End of quote. The research was done on more than 800 sets of twins, and the psychological well-being scales tool, which assesses and standardizes characteristics, was used to measure personality differences. Professor Bates said, and I quote, "The findings show that genetics was the strongest influence on a person's sense of self-control. Genes affect a person's sense of purpose, social skills, psychological well-being, and the ability to continue learning and developing." In a landmark 1994 study entitled "Separate Social World of Siblings, the Impact of Non-Shared Environment on Development," Dr. Hetherington pointed out that not only have examples of significant genetic influence on behavior been found, it became clear that genetic influence is substantial and ubiquitous for almost all domain behaviors. This explains why 5 brothers living with 5 separate families in different US cities after being separated in their infant years develop remarkably similar character traits and habits that could not be explained by the unique and separate environment. Madam Moderator, this is a secular research. SDA Ministry magazine in a January 2010 publication has summed it up perfectly when writer G.T. Jabbar pointed out that there is no sin gene. Rather, he states that our characters in Christ are based on God-given choice. He wrote that genetic components would not coerce sinful behavior, but would merely predispose us to it, leaving us able to decide whether to sin or not. This power to choose was given to all mankind through Adam. Yes, it is in our genes. Now tell me, how then can my learned opposition conclude otherwise? In addition to the aforementioned in 2013, the Journal of Personality published a statement which also concluded that one's happiness is underpinned by genes. I will gladly share this hard copy source with my opponents after we have won this debate to help in universal understanding that genes is the foundation, origin, and greatest influence of one's character. Remember I stated that earlier that one's character is a combination of qualities that makes a person. Hence, how you react with others, how you speak, your dislikes, and your psychological makeup have all been linked to your genes. Madam Moderator, our God is perfect, and we are perfect creations. And anyone who argues otherwise clearly does not understand the awesomeness of his creation of mankind. Nothing has been left to chance. The perfection of our character means too much to our God, and that is why he ensured that it is innate. He put the instinct for perfection of our character inside us through our genes. It is in our DNA. Therefore, I appeal to you, ladies and gentlemen, not to let the flowery words of my opponent distract, bemuse, and confuse you. I implore you not to let the likes of Darwin's family and overshadow the masterpiece of God's perfect creation. My God would not leave anything to chance, especially something as important as our character. You must therefore agree with me that a person's character determines his genes. I rest my case.
And there you had it, ladies and gentlemen. Presentation done by the leader of the proposing team in the time of 12 minutes, 35 seconds. And now we'll call on the leader of the opposing team, Lashera Evans, to present her case. Could you please give Lashera your undivided attention? I'm hearing some shushering in the I know you're excited, but they need to be able to govern their thoughts and concentrate, so could you please give them a fair chance to do so. I know you're excited, but control. Lashera, the floor is yours.
I have the code, so please be with me. Madam Moderator, esteemed judges, fellow colleagues, and my church family, a pleasant good afternoon is wished to you. Allow me to adapt the protocol of pedestrians establish. It is my distinct pleasure this afternoon to provide insight into the fact that it is a person's environment that determines their personality or character. While more for this debate may have presented some challenges, the research has been an eye-opener. Today, we are here to debate whether human nature or human nurture. In the next few minutes, I will speak to two aspects of our presentation, which are the social and psychological aspects of our argument. My able colleague will present on the spiritual aspects. Over the years, many researchers have tried to propose different definitions for personality. However, the Oxford Dictionary defines personality as the combination of characteristics or qualities that form an individual's distinctive character, while character is the stable and distinctive qualities built into an individual's life which determines his or her response regardless of the circumstances. Environment, on the other hand, is the physical surroundings, conditions, and circumstances in which a person is. Ladies and gentlemen, my fellow colleagues, does, and I quote, the combination of characteristics or qualities that form an individual's distinctive character, end of quote, sounds like something that can be generated when a sperm fuses with a human egg? No. Let us for a minute take a trip back into history when the Owls and Caribs occupied the island. We are all aware, thanks to our history teachers, that the Caribs were known to be warlike people, and for generations they behaved in such manner. History has not proven that they were warlike because of their genes. Instead, history suggests that their behavior had more to do with their quest for survival and protection of their land. Hence, their warlike nature stemming from their environment. Today, there are Caribs living in the mountainous regions of Dominica. With all the media avenues that we have now, we have not heard any reports of any warlike behavior. My worldly abundance. Do you suppose that the genes of the Caribs have been altered, hence resulting in their current behavior? Or do you suppose that because of their way of life is no longer threatened by others and have been allowed to coexist in a peaceful, uninhabited island, that their behavior have changed? I put it to you, therefore, that the latter supports the thought that their current behavior is the product of their environment. Certainly not the doing of any science or genetic fusion. Abraham Lincoln, in describing character, is in a real sense pended, and I quote, "Personality is the shadow, character is the tree," end of quote. That further cements that our character is much more than just what we are trying to display for others to see. It is who we are when no one is watching, and this cannot be genetically influenced. Madam Moderator, esteemed judges, I put it to you that the main differences among individuals lie in their environment and not their genetics. One's personality consists in his general profile or in the special combination of psychological traits of character that refers to his unique nature. One unique combination of psychological features lead the way in which specific persons react and interact with others in or the environment. One's personality includes a set of mental characteristics which reflect the way in which people think, act, and feel. I further suggest that these traits are developed gradually through experience. And I am sure all of us sure that all of us have repeated the cloning remarks such as, "He acts just like his father." According to psychologist Saul McClone, in his 2007 article, Nature versus Nurture, in psychology, it is the most reasonable answer of all is that the environmental, educational, experience factor determines a person's character. He therefore suggests that heredity may establish the limit of a person's personality traits that can be developed, but it is the environment represented by culture, social, and situational factors influencing the actual development within the limits. Cultural factors are related to the cultural values earned by someone in his or her course of life, especially during the period when his or her personality is formed. These cultural values have great impact upon a person's behavior. For example, a person that is fond of reading or any form of art will behave more with sophistication than a person who has social factors are represented by family, religion, and other groups once made part of the years. Social factors are represented by family. Social factors are represented by family, religion, and the groups of people one has made part of through the years. Situational factors emphasize some aspects of one's personality. Now, let's consider world-renowned Ben Carson, not the politician, Dr. Ben Carson. Ben Carson's bio cites that he came from very poor beginnings. His father abandoned the family